Our next speaker is Jaedyn Medrano, presenting her talk, Decentering White Environmentalism in Higher Education. She is from Seguin, Texas, and is pursuing a Master's of Science in the School for Environment and Sustainability, also known as SEAS. She is an intersectional sustainability advocate. Jaedyn loves reading anything related to high fantasy, for example, Lord of the Rings. We all know the quotes, I'm sure. I'm not gonna rattle any off, but we all know those quotes. She also loves video games and thrifting. She believes thrifting is a sustainable behavior which is healthy, fun, and everyone can participate in. Please welcome Jaedyn.
Thank you, Chaz, and hello, everybody. You see, I have a little bit of a joke. I was told it would help ease the tension. I was really considering wearing something like red or pink tonight, but then I realized it would match my face exactly. So y'all get purple, and it worked out with the lighting. All right, so to me, sustainability is a balance that is found at the intersection of different environmental, social, and economic factors within our world. And, some people who are not within my academic field have a really hard time connecting how different social, political, and economic factors have anything to do with what they're doing or what they're studying. And I don't really blame them for not being interested or understanding or making these connections, but rather I blame the fact that education and sustainability have been framed in such a way, because sustainability is about more than just, recycling symbols and planting trees and, putting solar panels in your house or driving a Tesla. It's way more than just like saving the sea turtles. It is about creating a world that is founded on justice and equity, is accessible, supports LGBTQIA+ individuals, cuts down barriers, systemic racism, things of those nature. But, sustainability has been framed in such a way due to the nature of white environmentalism, which is a term that describes, sorry, forgot about my pictures. You'll see those for a sec. So it's a term that describes the domination of the environmental field by white ideologies and theories. When I use the phrase white environmentalism, I am specifically referring to the existing paradigm of colonial ecological theory. And this is based off the written works of really well-known conservationists from the mid-1800s. You would know them as John Muir, Gifford Pinchot, and Aldo Leopold. When I was in undergrad, because I have an ecology degree, I learned about these guys like in every single class over and over again. And if you don't know about conservation, their theories are known as preservation, conservation, and land ethic, respectively. But these theories all encourage us to maintain a view of sustainability and the environment, that we are people who can manage or change the land to our own desires and whims, rather than being something or people that are part of that living system that is the earth. And these theories also just kind of tend to gloss over the fact that these colonial individuals were stealing land from indigenous or native peoples, and that they murdered, raped, reproductively sterilized, converted, all sorts of atrocious things. And I just feel like glossing over that kind of takes away from the fact that these are supposed to be the leaders of conservation. These guys are called the fathers of modern environmentalism. And so white environmentalism upholds the concept environmental racism, which, to explain it simply, is the practice by which groups of underserved peoples, there's lots of different ways to describe it, are disproportionately affected by the environment in which they're raised in. Many people would know this best through situations where they're experiencing poor air quality or water. The Flint water crisis is perhaps the most well-known here. But that doesn't detract from situations elsewhere in the world, such as what's going on in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Congo is home to the second largest rainforest in the world, second to the Amazon, but it is being rapidly cleared so that children can mine cobalt from it from less than $2 USD an hour. Cobalt isn't the only mineral that comes from there. Other common exports are copper and gold, but cobalt happens to be used in the creation of lithium-ion batteries, which is used to make EVs, and we put those batteries in our cars, our leaf blowers. I work at Lowe's, so I sell a lot of electric battery-powered leaf blowers. We have them on our smartphones and our laptops, and it's just everywhere. It's considered to be sustainable. But as somebody who really cares about the planet, I have a really hard time deciding between driving a gas-powered vehicle, which fossil fuels are contributing to climate change, global warming. It's ruining the planet, causing lots of environmental harm to disproportionately to different communities. But also, if I have an EV, that means that those minerals were mined like with the blood of children. So I don't feel ethically certain about either option. And I think that this is a great example of how white environmentalism has encouraged us to develop and to produce and consume in such a way that we're only considering things from an ecological perspective, and we're not thinking about how this is affecting people in order to create these products. Other examples that one could use would be currently the California wildfires. I know that everybody keeps talking about this, and I know it's nothing new to talk about how they're being largely put out by firefighters who are underpaid and incarcerated. But the fact that that is something that has been going on for that long, and they're still doing it, kind of an issue. Another example, which people don't like to talk about as much, at least in higher ed, the rampant ecocide and genocide that occurred in Palestine as part of the war on Gaza, just the complete desolation of the land, is another example of environmental racism and how we are not valuing land or people in order to consume and build what we want. And since I'm talking about environmental racism within green spaces, I'd like to highlight the work of Professor Dorceta Taylor. Sorry, guys. She is currently a professor at the Yale School for Environmental Justice, I believe. But prior to working there, she spent 27 years teaching at the University of Michigan in the program that I'm currently in, and she's like the leading expert in environmental racism, specifically does a lot of research in how Black individuals in the environment interact with each other. If you look up anything about environmental racism or of that nature, you will find her somewhere. And in 2014, she published this landmark report that was examining how diversity is experienced within environmental organizations. And like I said, 2014, it was found that 88% of staff and 95% of board members within environmental NGOs were white. It was found that 11% of staff and faculty within environmental education programs were I forgot the word I was gonna say. They were not white, they were from diverse backgrounds. It was also found that 88% of conservation or present-based organizations, so like anywhere where somebody would go and they would work on restoring a degraded floodplain, 88% were white, and it was, just a really stark look into just how much of the environmental field was made by white decision makers. And so now, over 10 years later, it's still a glaringly obvious issue. I don't have the report up here, but it was reported by Data USA that over, I believe, 70% of individuals who hold environmental degrees are white. About 10% are held by Hispanic or Latino individuals, so that's me. I know I don't look like it, but and then less than 1% are held by other individuals from underserved ethnic backgrounds. And so, as Chaz mentioned earlier, I am in the School for Sustainability and the Environment. And the reason why I chose to come here, even though I'm from Texas and it would have been a whole lot less expensive to move somewhere else and pay in-state tuition, I chose to join this program because I felt like it had this commitment to environmental justice and intersectional sustainability that I hadn't seen anywhere else. As far as I am aware, the School for Sustainability and the Environment had the first environmental justice program within higher education. And there are a couple of other programs in the world who currently have programs that are as passionate about or teach on par with these. Professor Dorceta Taylor runs one of them, but not many. And I think that in order to have a more sustainable change in the world at large, there needs to be a shift in environmental programming and curriculum. We need to be making decisions around who's making the decisions. In my vision of a sustainable environmental higher education future, we have more students at large who are getting degrees in this program, because in my experience, we tend to be pretty small schools, small programs. And there are more faculty and staff from more diverse backgrounds who can provide different experiences and looks at these topics. Because I'm gonna be honest, even at C's, it's kind of split almost 50-50, which is progress. I come from Texas. It's way more progressive than it is in Texas. But there still needs to be a change. I also feel that in order to improve higher education and decenter white environmentalism within our structures, we just need to be putting more funding towards students within these programs and faculty. Like, it's really hard to get funding or a grant, especially if you're not studying something that's specifically related to carbon capture or renewables. And that's not what I study. So more funding to overcome systemic barriers. And so I know I've thrown a lot of technical terminology at y'all. I mean, it's not everybody's favorite thing to talk about, although it is mine. But I want y'all's major takeaway from this to be that sustainability is not just about the environment. It is about so much more. In fact, I tell people all the time, I'm like, sustainability is about people and planet. But I would go so far to say, in this day and age, in the year 2025, sustainability is about saving each other. I like this note. Don't remember where it's from. I think it's at a university. So with the spirit of the symposium in mind, I would like to thank y'all for attending, and I would like you to think about sustainability as it relates to your own life and ways in which you can engage in sustainable behaviors or support the decentering of white environmentalism within higher education, and rethink about your own personal connection with nature. Sorry, wrong button. Ta-da. Thank you all.